Okay, hi everyone. In this video, this is a critique for my 20mm lens. This is it here. It's one of the really old school lenses where it has manual aperture control, but it's also manual focus only. At the back, it's got no connections to give any details or information back to the camera, and it's got no motor inside the lens or even a motor bit there for the camera to control the focus. And yeah, it's a lens which I bought when I was out in Japan recently. Again, bought it secondhand, and I got it for around about, I think it came out to around about £300. And it was really weird. Whenever I got this lens, I was just like, ooh, there's something about it that's just beautiful, like precision or just gloriously soft focusing or something. It was amazing. I instantly fell in love with it. I still don't know why. But I think it's got something to do with the fact that when you take a photo with this lens, you know that you've done it all. You've done the focus, you've done the aperture, you've done the shutter speed on the camera, and the ISO on the camera. So you've done it all by yourself. And I think there's something pleasing about that every so often, going back to just actually having to do it by yourself and not having the camera autofocus or auto aperture or anything like that. So yeah, that's the lens. Now, for some reason, whenever this lens is on my Nikon D300, D700, but not my Fuji S5, is that it gives me the wrong aperture setting. For some reason, I think the camera just has to guess what the aperture is going to be at. Yeah, there's no connections here whatsoever. So here, when it was at 2.8, it's actually read as f4. So it's effectively, I'm sure this is like one stop below where it should have been. Because if you look at the histogram again, there's nothing over the top, and it is a little bit more to the left. It's not totally centered. If we put it up, I would say that's the correct exposure. So that's just one stop there. So it should have been a different shutter speed. Anyway, so back to the actual point of the photo. I just want to show you this. Okay, old lens made for film cameras, always made for a 35mm lens, film even. It's got the strangest effect ever. Like, look at this. This is the original image at f2.8. Although the computer says f4, it wasn't. It was at f2.8. First of all, you're seeing huge amount of vignetting at the side. But what I am surprised about is just the sharpness. I am well impressed with that, f2.8. Even up into the corners, that is darn sharp. Okay, it's dark. Maybe there is a bit rubbish. But, you know, even here is looking really sharp. And over at the other side, again, at f2.8, yeah, very impressed with the sharpness of this lens at the corners as well. So sharpness wise, it's pretty good. But look at this. Okay, if we go from f2.8 to f4, look at how not just the vignetting changes, but the center contrast changes as well. Look at that. It's like a completely different image. It's like one's been edited, one's been not. Look, it's bright in the middle, dark in the corners, and now it's kind of much more even at f4. And if I just flick, it's almost like I'm shining a light in the center of that image compared to this one where it's not. Yeah, it's like a light that's being shown on it. It's really bizarre. Yeah, very strange. I can't really describe it. But anyway, when you get up to f4, I would say again, sharpness cannot be faulted, even up into, okay, we're talking about if we're talking about the final millimeter, then yeah, it's maybe not that great, but in the final 5mm, it's still shockingly sharp. Vignetting is still there, without a doubt, and there is a little bit of barrel distortion as well. Because it certainly looks, the barrel distortion will not change with the aperture because that is purely about the actual glass itself. But it's better barrel than having pincushion, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure, because the subject's usually going to be in the middle. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing, is the change in the exposure that it's giving us there. And then going up to here, it says f8. This is actually f5.6. And again, can't really see any difference apart from a slight bit of change in the the vignetting down at the corner here. If I show you that, so there is f f4, where am I? Put it there. So f4 to f5.6, 4 to 5.6. 5.6 seems a little bit sharper, but yeah, can't really tell. And then the last one, this was at f8, and yeah, effectively what I'm saying is this lens is sharp. That's what you get. Okay, vignetting is terrible at f2.8, but that's kind of cool. If you're wanting an old filmic look and you want a wide-angle lens, this on a full frame body, I think gives a really cool old-fashioned look to it. And the fact that it's giving me this insane exposure where it's bright in the middle and dark on the outsides, it just adds to the kind of beauty of this lens, I think. The faults in this lens are what make it so special, I think. But if you're looking for a perfect lens, I wouldn't advise this. But what I would say is just go and borrow it. Go and buy it. Because I think actually buying these new, even though they're old, like if you're to go into a shop to try and get one of these, not the AFD ones, but the this is AIS one, then go in there and just see if you like it as well. See if there's something kind of a bit magical about these things. Yeah, I love it. I use it for loads of stuff. But yeah, so that's an interesting little shot there. Hope that helps. Cheers. Bye bye.